This morning, we're hearing from the senator leading an investigation into Citizens Property Insurance. A Florida insurance expert weighing in on the company's financial footing.
Plus, could Senator Marco Rubio see a promotion? What reports are saying are in his future this morning.
And round one is in the books for the Valspar Championship in Palm Harbor. This morning, 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean live at Innisbrook talking with the director about this year's tournament.
And we are teeing it off and teeing it up on Brightside this morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jamison Euler. Time right now, 5 o'clock.
I'm Caitlin Lockerbie, and this morning with Colleen Campbell and for Amanda. And it is a wet start out there, as you can see from our cameras out on the roadway this morning. It is going to be a soggy commute right now.
Something drivers never want to deal with. The windshield wipers going, the roads wet. You really want to make sure you leave extra time this morning because we have a lot of rain, my friends. In fact, a lot of you were probably woken up by some of those downpours. We look at that radar loop, you can see a nice little swath of rain that's moving across I-75. That's what many of you probably experienced early this morning around 2 a.m. or so. We are in a little bit of a lull. We will have a couple of lulls today, but I am keeping my eye on another line that's making its way over towards Pinellas County, perhaps Manatee County and Sarasota County will get clipped with that as well. We're not looking at lightning with this, which is great. That means that none of these storms are severe right now. Lightning is one of the factors that we look at for a storm strengthening. However, that doesn't match a criteria for a severe storm. For a severe storm, we have to have some hail as well as some pretty strong winds, which we do not have at this time. It's just a rain event. Now, for the next couple of hours here, you're going to see a lot of rainy icons here. That's because we are looking at just rounds and rounds of wet weather with those dry lulls in between. Again, you want to make sure you're being careful on those roads. And of course, Sarah Rosario has the latest on that.
Oh, Colleen, good morning. We're so happy to have you on the bright side. A fun little guest for us, our meteorologist, trying to get the words out as well. The newest one to our team, giving us a great forecast on the rain you can expect out the door this morning. So what can you find on the roads? Well, we've been telling you about it so far. Looking at our road weather hazards right now, you can see we've got some soggy conditions along the roadway. The green you're seeing right now are the wet roads. So that includes drivers through portions of Tampa, Carrollwood, Brandon, basically most of our viewing area. I am seeing a little bit of a dry spot here for drivers through portions of Tarpon Springs, and even a bit of ponding reported here for drivers in the blue through portions of State Road 60, State Road 17 are Lakeland drivers. Taking a look now at what else you can expect out the doorway. We do have a crash reported. No word yet if it's caused by the rain, but we're going to be keeping track of this in the I-4 near Nebraska Avenue. I think it's reported as a hit and run, and then you can see slick conditions along the roadways right now in and around the airport. Caitlin?
All right, thanks, Sarah. Remember, you can get up to the minute weather and traffic alerts sent right to your phone with our 10 Tampa Bay app. A good time to download it now for that soggy commute. Free on both Google Play and the Apple App Store. Want to get right to a news alert right now happening in Polk County. Take a look at your screen. The sheriff's office is looking for Keith Howard Thomas. He's missing this morning, considered endangered, showing early signs of dementia. We're told he's 65 years old and lives along Munn Avenue in Lakeland. Keith was last seen leaving his home Thursday afternoon, driving a white Mitsubishi Eclipse. If you've seen him, you're asked to call the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
New this morning, stranded at the bus stop. Pasco County parents tell us their elementary and middle school kids have been left waiting at the bus stop over and over again this year.
And as you can imagine, parents not happy about it and want answers right now. This morning, 10 Tampa Bay reporter Andrea Line is looking into it. And Andrea, what are parents telling you about this morning? How are they responding?
Hey, good morning, Jamison and Caitlin. We're live out here at Gwynhurst and Oldswoods Avenue in Wesley Chapel, and they say they're concerned that it's affecting their children's education because it's been happening all year. Buses are supposed to come out to this bus stop, but more than often they are 40 minutes or later, never showing up at all sometimes, which forces the parents to take all the kids from that bus stop, drop them off themselves. It happened 2 times just last week from this stop. And other problems is they say often those same kids are missing the first period of their day with tardies on top of it. Parents here tell me they've reached out to the district and the transportation garage without help and without luck. Many think the issue has to do with just how many people are moving to Pasco and the influx of kids heading to school.
They're continuously rezoning areas and pouring more kids into these schools, which causes more kids to ride these already overcrowded buses. Never mind all the new construction that's being built all around us is just adding to the problem. It's only going to get worse.
So I started working on this story yesterday. I reached out to Pasco County schools, and they tell me they weren't even aware of this situation, especially at this bus stop here, or any other concerns from parents. So they're also looking into this problem, but they say, yeah, they're well aware of the population boom happening in Pasco. It's been happening. So they do keep an eye on those master communities that are planned for the area and try to serve them as best as possible. Jameson?
Yeah, Andre, I know parents are certainly frustrated with this. We even know that they've been experimenting with moving some school times around to help with the busing shortage. What else is Pasco doing to deal with all of this?
Well, they've definitely evaluated the bus routes. They've had about 400. Now they have 273, I believe. They also looked at those shortages of bus drivers, because we know that's been an issue all over the Bay Area. But they said here they're just short 23 drivers. So that shouldn't be the issue in this case. Live in Wesley Chapel, Andrea Lyon, 10 Tampa Bay.
All right, thanks, Andrea. At this hour, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office still looking for NFL player Cam Sutton. The Detroit Lions released the cornerback on Thursday following allegations of domestic violence. The Sheriff's Office says Sutton fled after police were called to a home in Lutz. Investigators say he may be driving a Jeep Grand Wagoner with a Florida plate number AZ33QB. If you know anything, you're asked to call the Sheriff's Office.
We'll begin this morning with continuing coverage on the ongoing U.S. Senate investigation into Citizens Insurance that has some of you worried about your policies.
10 Tampa Bay spoke with the U.S. Senator who's leading this investigation. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island wants to know if Florida would ask for a federal bailout if major disasters drain its funds. It comes as Governor Ron DeSantis said last month Citizens is not solvent.
So we're looking at it not only as a Florida problem that might come home to roost in Congress with an ask for funding from Congress, but also as the leading edge of a potentially national coastal property insurance and valuation challenge.
Florida insurance expert Mark Freelander says Florida will never ask Congress for a bailout because of the so-called hurricane tax that Citizens could impose on all home insurance policyholders in the state, not just customers that Citizens insures.
Citizens is solvent. It is a very fiscally strong organization. Citizens could never go insolvent like a private insurer because of the backstop program that is in place.
Florida's Rick Scott sits on the Senate Budget Committee. We asked him about his thoughts on this investigation, a possible federal bailout, and potential hurricane tax on all insurance policyholders. His office won't answer those questions directly, but told us every option should be on the table until the insurance market is fixed.
Time now 5:08. An update this morning on a story we mentioned on Brightside yesterday. Appointed Hillsborough State Attorney Susie Lopez attended a local NAACP meeting, hearing from community members frustrated with law enforcement as well as her office. She spoke about diversion programs offered in the county, initiatives to put in place to get kids on the right track, and reentry simulations meant to teach her prosecutors what it's like for formerly incarcerated people to have a normal life after serving jail time.
Prosecution is not just about prosecuting, it's also about helping people. There is a criticism that I've heard that our office has cut diversion programs. I am here to tell you that is absolutely not true.
Members in that crowd said that empathy has not been felt in the black community, with speakers saying their neighborhoods have been over-policed by law enforcement and that it's usually their word against an officer's.
You don't understand how law enforcement treat us. Now I got to plead this case to you. And you say, let me hear what law enforcement. We're going to work with law enforcement. But you say all these diversion programs. I ain't seen none of that.
The Hillsborough NAACP also invited State Attorney Lopez to revisit their chapter and bring along her entire team of prosecutors so they can hear directly from the community. She says that conversation will continue.
Well, one of our U.S. senators could get a promotion. According to CBS News, former President Donald Trump is considering Marco Rubio as a potential running mate. The former president is the presumptive Republican nominee. Both Rubio and Trump went against each other in the 2016 GOP primary. You may remember Trump even repeatedly calling him Little Marco. Rubio says he has not talked to Trump about becoming his number two, but he did endorse Trump before the Iowa caucuses.
I'm now 5:10. Today is the deadline for the government funding for several departments, including defense.
Still to come for you this morning, we take you to Washington for an update on negotiations there.
But first, some of the top golfers in the world are teeing it up at Innisbrook this morning. 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean has a preview of this weekend's action. Colleen?
All right, and for that bus stop forecast, you want to make sure those kids definitely have either a raincoat or an umbrella with them, not only for the ride in, but also for the ride home. It's going to be a soggy commute for many of us. What you need to know about the rest of the weekend coming up in your full forecast.
And we're looking at traffic across the Bay Area as we get a look at some flashing lights we've been looking at for drivers here along I-4. If you're going to be driving through this portion of Tampa Bay, heads up, I am seeing some stop and go traffic. We'll be keeping you informed, prepared, connected on what you need to know as you're heading out on this Friday morning. At least we've made it to the end of the week. We're back in a couple minutes.
The Valspar Championship is underway at Innisbrook Resort in Palm Harbor, and some of the world's best golfers will be playing all weekend long if rain doesn't get in the way.
That's right. It's going to be exciting out there. 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean joins us live this morning from the Copperhead course with more on what you can expect this weekend. Good morning, Jenny.
Yeah, good morning, Jameson and Caitlin. I mean, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be this morning. I mean, maybe a light sprinkle, but we're really hoping to see some great golf today. And really, the Valspar gets underway a week before with a lot of events leading up to it that benefit the community. But first, we're going to talk about the golf and the fan experience. And I have Rick Odioso with the Valspar Championship with me right now. And Rick, tell me, you got some action in yesterday. It was a beautiful day. How are things going so far?
Well, yesterday was a wonderful day. It was beautiful weather. We had good scoring. Kevin Streelman, who won in 2013, is our leader, and a lot of the best players in terms of their history in the field, like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and Xander Schauffele, well, they were all under par and will be in contention, it looks like, on the weekend.
So we were a little worried about today's weather, but it's looking like it's not going to be as bad as everyone expected. So what can people plan on if they're planning on coming here today?
Well, I probably would bring your rain gear, but and there should be some bands of showers, but they're expecting to get a lot of play in today and get us on schedule for a good finish on the weekend, and we'll be done on Sunday on time.
Now, let's talk about this. This is a great fan experience. When you come to the Valspar, there's so much more than golf. There's so much for the kids and the whole family. Tell me about some of the things that people can do here.
Well, we have a kids zone. Valspar has a lot of fun activations with their color of the year this year, which is Renew Blue. And there's tiny homes. I think that's kind of cool to go through a tiny home. For those of you with hospitality, we have all kinds of food options. We have hospitality that people have paid extra for, but we're kind of proud of our basic grounds pass and the areas it allows you to have access to as well.
Yeah, it's always a fun event. Of course, we're watching the last year's champion, Taylor Moore. And we've got Sam, the one who won.
Sam Burns he shot even par yesterday, so he's in good position, but not. Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Today is the cut day. We have 152 golfers in the field. We'll have something around 70 once we get through with the second round, which could be today, could be early tomorrow.
And a big concert by Cole Swindell tomorrow night. So lots of action to happen today and all weekend long here at the Valspar Tournament. Coming up in about a half an hour, we're going to talk about how much this does for the Tampa Bay community, this Valspar Tournament and this championship and the money that it brings in. But for now, we're live in Palm Harbor. Jenny Dean, 10 Tampa Bay.
All right, I think Jenny Dean was doing her rain dance out there, or her anti-rain dance, because right before she went out to the course, she said, "Colleen, am I going to get drenched out there?" And so far, so good. We have a nice little dry lull. We are going to break it down, but for anybody that is going to Valspar, Innisbrook, be aware that we still do have rounds of rain in the forecast for today. Pop-up storm, not really looking severe at this point. The possibility is there. It's not zero, but it's low enough, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And then Saturday, we actually have another round of rain and possibly a non-severe storm moving through, mainly for the first half of the day. Second half of the day, Saturday will be gorgeous. And then Sunday looking fantastic as we close out that event. So let's break down this system. Here's that all that yellow and orange, that heavier rain moving across I-75, heading towards the other coast. That likely woke many of you up this morning. We had a couple downpours around 1 to 2 a.m. Now we are in this lull where things are a little bit quieter. However, if anybody was just paying attention out in the Gulf, we have a little bit more. Zooming in here, you can see that we have plenty of dry areas. As we look out to the west, though, I've been paying attention to a line that wants to move into our region. It is starting to break apart, so that's some great news. This forecast has been changing basically hour by hour. So there, look at that line. See how it just collapsed? That's some good news for us. So that means we were looking at the potential of heavier rain starting to approach the coast, but since then our chances went down a little bit. So this is a system that we are staying on top of for the next few hours just to see what we get. Winds are starting to pick up the pace a little bit. In fact, as we go into this afternoon, we will have winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusts even stronger than that at times. 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts is not unheard of with a system like this. We have that disturbance moving through, but here's some also great news. If you were paying attention last night, or if anybody's been looking at this last couple days even, we did have a marginal risk that was eventually pushed down to far southwest Florida. Well, now it's really down there. It's really only for that sliver in Miami, that area you see highlighted in green. We're back to that category where we're just looking at typical storms. Originally, we had a marginal risk issued by the Storm Prediction Center, but they pulled that risk back because the severe level did drop. So that's some excellent news. This is really just going to be a rain event. And talking about rain, yeah, we'll have anywhere from 2 to 3 inches, mainly for St. Petersburg, the Tampa area, and then north of that a little bit lighter, especially for our friends around the Nature Coast. They could have anywhere closer to 1 to 2 inches. But wow, Southwest Florida, they're really going to get drenched here. They could have anywhere from 3 to 4 inches. Looking at Futurecast, as we enter into about 8:30, 9 o'clock, we could have another round of rain enter into our region before we start to see another dry lull. That dry lull will be anywhere from about 9 a.m. to noon. This model is a little bit ambitious. It always is. It's a high-res model, so you're going to see a lot of color on there. But here we are around noon, and you can see much lighter rain, so we will start to slow down. This is our in-house model. It's pretty much aligning with that. That's at 6 a.m., of course, within the next hour or so. That's when we're receiving most of the rain. Temperatures will struggle to get beyond the mid-70s for today because of all that wet weather. And finally, on the 7-day forecast here, we do finish off the weekends much drier. Our next system, if you're wondering when that will be, that looks to be Wednesday.
All right, Colleen, thank you so much. Getting a look at traffic. All right, if we are heading out on this Friday, you're going to see some flashing lights, some slick conditions, but hopefully you can give yourself some extra time and get where you need to go on time this morning. Here's a look at I-4 near Park Road. Another crash popping up on our map since we've been tracking the rain this morning. And then here, I-4 near Nebraska Avenue. This is near the flyover to I-275, both for my drivers through Hillsborough County this morning. And then looking at our road weather hazards maps, a lot of green you see on your screen. Those are the wet roads. And the blue is the ponding reported through the area, or even more wet roads. And then looking at Colleen was saying it, that maybe Jenny was doing a rain dance. And it's true for drivers through portions of Tarpon Springs, the northern portions of Pinellas County, where Innisbrook is, not seeing as wet of roads there right now. So hopefully it stays that way and the rain is just away for the golfers this morning. That's a look at traffic right now. Looking at our Bay Area bridges, I'm not seeing any delays across the Howard Franklin, Courtney Campbell, or Gandy right now. Jamison, Caitlin?
All right, Sarah, thank you. In just a minute, it's nearly 600 migrants rushing a border entry in Texas.
Yeah, we'll show you the dramatic video and find out what happened right after that. And later today, the city of St. Pete is announcing a new utility relief program for renters. 10 Tampa Bay's Nick Valturo is live in the city this morning with the ins and outs of the new program and who qualifies.
Well, a live look at Washington this morning, where the clock is ticking for lawmakers to pass government funding. Spending for several agencies will end at midnight tonight. Both the Senate and House are expected to take up a $1.2 trillion spending package today. 70% of that funding would go to the Department of Defense. It also funds Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, and the Department of Labor. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says he expects Republicans to vote for it. However, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz says he is trying to kill it. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he also expects it to pass. Once approved by the House, it will go to the Senate. New video from El Paso, Texas shows a hectic scene. Here it is right at the border. Look at that. Thursday, 600 migrants are in custody now after rushing past wire fencing in an attempt to enter the country.
Yeah, chaotic scene here. The state's Governor Greg Abbott posted on social media the Department of Public Safety is instructed to arrest every illegal immigrant involved for criminal trespass and destruction of property. It comes as the state sweeping new immigration legislation. SB 4 remains caught up in the courts. In a hearing earlier this week, judges with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals pressed state lawyers, on the merits of the law. The Department of Justice argues SB 4 is unconstitutional, that immigration policy is the job of the federal government, not the states. Texas officials say SB 4 follows federal immigration law. Law enforcement, like the sheriff in El Paso, worry they don't have the resources or the training to carry out the law if it's allowed to stand.
We have about 270 police officers, and this issue could quickly exhaust those resources for our community.
Customs and Border Protection said all migrants from the group that rushed the border have been moved from the site. Officials in Mexico say on Thursday they plan to provide legal support for migrants from their country who face issues at the border.
Time now 5:27. Governor Ron DeSantis this morning putting pen to paper and signing 5 bills.
A look at their impacts and other pieces of legislation awaiting his signature right now.
Plus, the Bolts are still out west trying to maintain a playoff spot. Evan Klosky this morning with the highlights coming up at 5:50 on their road adventures.
And taking a live look outside over Tampa this morning, where we've got some rain to start you off on this Friday, a soggy commute for you. Meteorologist Colleen Campbell has the latest track of the rain coming up in just 4 minutes.